Kim McAllister, Hal Rudnick, filling in for Mark Thompson today, who is in Washington, D.C. with the parents. And I want to bring on Michael Snyder. He comes and goes on a rainbow. I don't have the harp. Where's the harp?
Where's my rainbow?
Where's
Come
the
on
rainbow?
now.
Where is it, Tony?
I can't believe this.
Tony's finding it.
The ducks ate my rainbow.
That's exactly what happened. Oh, no. We don't have the rainbow sound. But Michael Snyder, thank you for sliding in on the rainbow, and welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Kim. And Mark, you seem so energized with a more youthful verve and wit. Is it Chinese herbs? Are you taking the Chinese herbs, Mark?
He comes and goes on a rainbow. There you go.
Al Rudnick here. Great to meet you. Great to chat with you.
Same here, buddy. And happy Passover to all our Jewish friends. I am sorry about the matzah, but if you put a little kosher peanut butter and jelly on it, it's not so bad.
I find it underrated. I find it's, or maybe I just enjoy eating cardboard.
That could be it. That could be it. Hey, speaking of Passover, I kind of wished I passed over the news this week. Apparently, SCOTUS now stands for Seditious Compromisers of the United States. I mean, wow. What is going on in Washington, D.C., my friends?
Yeah, we call them MAGA in robes now is what's happening.
Craziness.
That's just being kind. You want to talk about new movies, everybody? What do you say?
Yes. How about the Challengers? Let's do it.
Let's serve up our first review, which is coincidentally a movie about tennis and love, not the tennis score. I'm talking romantic triangle here, and competition. It's also the latest from Italian director Luca Guadagnino, and it is called Challengers. I have been enamored with Guadagnino's films since I saw his 2009 drama, I Am Love, which addressed desire in the form of a rich woman cheating on her husband with a suave chef, and no, not Charlie Trotter. And it starred Tilda Swinton as the unfaithful woman. And Swinton would reteam with Luca for my favorite of his movies, 2015's A Bigger Splash. And to date, despite these other two cool films, Luca has received the most attention and acclaim for his 2017 feature Call Me By Your Name. Got a little Oscar love for that in the form of nominations. That was a gay romantic drama that paired Timothée Chalamet. It was his breakthrough role with the notorious Armie Hammer as its central couple. And you know what? Since then, Guadagnino has dabbled in gore, which is kind of crazy. He did a remake of the gory Italian horror classic Suspiria. And then in 2022, he reteamed with Chalamet for Bones and All, which was about a young couple on the road, but it was like a romance with a twist that not for the faint of heart or weak of stomach. And I'm thinking, where is he going to go next? Well, he has exchanged the bloody splatter for a more emotional viscera and come up with what might turn out to be his most widely seen and embraced movie, Challengers. This is about the complicated relationship and romantic entanglement between three tennis prodigies, two guys and the girl who entrances them. And the reason I think Challengers is going to get a lot more eyes on it than his previous work is the presence of rising star Zendaya of HBO's Euphoria and the recent Spider-Man trilogy. She plays Tashi, a whirlwind who moved into coaching when her playing career didn't pan out for reasons. And the two men in the equation are champion on the decline Art, played by Mike Faced from West Side Story, and Has-Been Patrick, played by Josh O'Connor, who you may know from The Crown and the charming TV series The Durrells. He played author Lawrence Durrell. So these guys, Art and Patrick, were best friends as rising tennis players, but they fell out over their competitive nature, which included vying for Tashi's affections. Art eventually married Tashi, who took over managing his career in a ruthlessly efficient fashion, in the wake of her not being able to play at a championship level anymore. There are compelling flashbacks that set all of this up, but in the present day of the movie, Art and Patrick find themselves coming back together in a way, facing off in a make-or-break tournament. So the script by Joshua Kuritzkis doesn't skimp on depicting the effort needed to succeed at the sport, to get to the pros and to excel once you're there. And more importantly, it gives the three actors plenty of meaty scenes together in various configurations, and they are all up to the task. I mean, the guys are great, with O'Connor cementing his ascent as a leading man and faced matching him volley for volley, so to speak. But it's Zendaya, whose mastery of Tashi's passion, her fury and her drive, she's the revelation here. She may be kind of a skinny noodle of a gal, but she is like a fire hose of charisma. In fact, Zendaya is so thin. How thin is she? I have it on good authority that her next two projects are Flavor Straw, the movie, and The Needle and the Haystack. And yes, she'll be playing the needle. All kidding aside, Challengers is a grand slam of a movie. It is in theaters.
Have you ever seen Zendaya in anything bad? I mean, she just brings this, I don't know, this kind of, as you say, charisma. You want to watch her, She has an unerring sense of what's going to work for her, I think, either she or her agent. And in this case, this is truly a wonderful spotlight for her. It shows the range. It shows her magnetism. And I think people are going to enjoy this. Again, it's in theaters right now, and I know it's going to have a life in streaming as well. I think people are really going to take to it. And I love it for Guadagnino, who deserves all the attention. And I mentioned A Bigger Splash, and it is still my favorite of his films, even after having seen this. And it's basically Tilda Swinton is a rock star like Chrissie Hynde meets Bowie meets Jagger, who has voice problems. And so she takes a little time off in a Mediterranean island with her boyfriend, and her ex shows up with what is purportedly her ex's daughter. And the ex and the daughter are played by Ralph Fiennes in maybe the best performance of his career, and Dakota Johnson. So if you haven't seen A Bigger Splash, and if you like Ripley and Patricia Highsmith's kind of sun-baked thrillers, that's what A Bigger Splash is. So, I'm on the Guadagnino bandwagon here.
Nice. Yeah, Challengers sounds like a great date movie. I mean, do you feel like it's does it have, or will it get couples arguing at the end of the movie?
Well, if you're in a menage a trois, Challengers is for you.
Nicely done.
Let's move on here.
Boy Kills World, yeah.
Okay, Boy Kills World, a violent video game sensibility here. It pervades much of what is a frenzied action comedy called Boy Kills World, and is, in fact, the movie's purpose. It's all about that video game violence. And when it's not full-on nonstop punching, kicking, and stabbing martial arts sequences, it's going for hero's journey myth-making. And it's pretty good at what it's trying to do. But, I'd be lying if I didn't admit that the world-building, plot, and characterizations are a bit flimsy, and that it becomes a little exhausting after about an hour. On the other hand, Bill Skarsgård is perfectly heroic and dynamic as Boy, the grown-up, deaf, mute, and orphaned outcast in a post-apocalyptic totalitarian society who seeks vengeance against those who brutally slayed his family. In case the movie's star doesn't ring a bell, Skarsgård is the son of renowned Swedish actor Stellan Skarsgård. He's the brother of Alexander Skarsgård from True Blood in various movies, and he's probably best known to American audiences at this point as Pennywise the Clown in the recent films adapting Stephen King's It novels.
Oh.
So this is a real change of pace for him. And Boy, the character, his primary target is Hilda Vanderkoy, the matriarch of the aristocratic clan that rules the land and oversees the culling of undesirables to keep the populace compliant and, I guess, under a certain number. So she's kind of a queen, president, and dictator all in one, and she's played by Famke Janssen with relish. So Boy witnessed Hilda take out his parents and sister, traumatizing the kid, who escapes into the wilds where a shaman raises him and teaches him how to kill with the intent of bringing down the monarchy. And all the while, Boy lives and fights as if he's a refugee from a video game. So director and co-screenwriter Moritz Moore keeps the melees coming as virtually every character goes berserk at one point or another. And by the way, in addition to Skarsgård and Johnson, the cast includes, believe it or not, Michelle Dockery, Lady Mary from Downton Abbey, who is decidedly not ladylike in this. Sharlto Copley of the recent action film Monkey Man and the sci-fi flick District 9 as this is the best part, as the mute boy's inner voice, H. John Benjamin, who is the lead actor in the animated TV shows Archer and Bob's Burgers. He is the voice of Archer and Bob. He is the voice of Boy's inner voice. And I have to say, if you do decide to see Boy Kills World, heed the title, There Will Be Mayhem. It is in theaters, but I know it's going to be a hoot at home when it comes to streaming at some point.
This sounds like a great popcorn movie, Michael. And I want to point out a movie that I love that Bill Skarsgård had a smaller part in. And I see on the poster that the producers are involved in this film. Barbarian was one of my favorite horror films from a couple of years ago.
It is excellent. Thanks for bringing it up. It is a totally worthwhile, very, very smart horror film and one that deserves to be acknowledged. It's a better film than Boy Kills World, but Boy Kills World is fun. I mean, if you like this sort of thing, you know, there's a phrase I like to use sometimes, good of kind. That's what Boy Kills World is. But it's wearying after a point, you know, the constant barrage. Okay.
Let's talk about Humane. I'm hoping that we go from bloody to maybe, is Humane a little bit more tame?
Well, let's just start by telling you that Caitlin Cronenberg directed this. She's the daughter of the idiosyncratic Canadian filmmaker David Cronenberg, and that's the man who brought us Eastern Promises, A History of Violence, Crash, The Fly, Naked Lunch, and so on. So now Caitlin herself has directed a quirky mix of science fiction and thrills titled Humane, written by one Michael Sparaga. And it turns out that the strange fruit hasn't fallen far from the tree, okay? I mean, this is clearly David Cronenberg's daughter at work. Humane is one day in the life of a family unit as it is impacted by a dystopian future America that controls its population. Hey, we've got an ongoing theme here. Controls its population with a play-for-pay euthanasia program. The environment is increasingly toxic and resources are drying up. So the government is offering $250,000 to families for each person willing to end their life and thin the herd.
Oh, wow. What an interesting premise.
Dark.
It is. Well-to-do retiring newsman Charles York, played by Peter Gallagher, gathers together his adult offspring, who are already less than congenial to one another, to be present when he and his second wife end their lives under the guidance of an official, clinician and his assistants. So things do not go as intended and get even more unpleasant than one might expect. So the rest of the Yorks, a son played by Jay Baruchel, two daughters played by Emily Hampshire and Alana Bale, and a granddaughter, these folks are now pitted against one another as Bob, the guy in charge of assisting in Charles' suicide, awaits a life or death decision, quite literally. So incidentally, Bob is played by Enrico Colantoni from the sitcom Just Shoot Me and the thriller series Person of Interest. And his trademark snark with a sinister edge is quite welcome here. So the social commentary isn't particularly revelatory, but it's on point for this sort of movie. And the creepy elements and the gallows humor are quite effective in Caitlin Cronenberg's hands. You know, welcome to the family business, Caitlin.
Michael, I think it's worth pointing out, David Cronenberg's son, Brandon Cronenberg, also a director. And not to get too incestuous here, but Alexander Skarsgård, we were just talking about Bill Skarsgård, was in Brandon's horror film Infinity Pool.
He was indeed.
Yeah,
wonderful
absolutely. Mia Goth.
Very, very true, Hal. And in fact, a very provocative movie that was. Like I said, the family business, right?
You got it. These apples did not fall far from the tree.
In select theaters right now, and it won't be available for streaming on demand until July 26th. But again, I think like Boy Kills World, it's the sort of movie that will play well at home. Let's wrap up the movie section of today's little culture blast with something I really loved, and it's called The Old Oak. And at 87 years young, 87 years.
Wow.
The great British populist filmmaker Ken Loach, who did, I believe, High Hopes and Sorry We Missed You, has made and released what he has said is his final movie. And if that's so, he has gone out in fine style with The Old Oak. A heartfelt drama about culture clash, bigotry, and charity in an economically disadvantaged northern English village that was once a thriving mining town. The Old Oak gets its name from a rundown but well-loved pub that serves as a de facto meeting place for the locals. Conflict arises between the now impoverished working-class Brits who are native to the town and the desperate Syrian refugees who have been placed there by the British government. As Paul Averty's script unfolds, TJ, the grizzled owner of the Old Oak, develops a rapport with a young Syrian woman named Yara and her family and tries to extend the hand of friendship to the newcomers. But the resentment of TJ's longtime customers is palpable, and it's going to take an extraordinary effort to combat prejudice and build a bridge between the two communities. TJ thinks he's up to it, but, there are challenges here. The actors led by Dave Turner as TJ and Ebla Mari as Yara are effortlessly naturalistic and very salt of the earth, which helps sell the ultimately uplifting narrative of The Old Oak. It's kind of a sweet goodbye from Loach, whose dark but honest movies about the hardscrabble life in the UK for the working class have not usually been of the happily ever after variety. I really love this. It's in select theaters now and will be available for streaming on June 5th. It is The Old Oak.
That seems like it's right up my alley. We have a couple more minutes, so let's see if we can't talk about some of these TV series that you.
Let me start with Sugar. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay. If, like me, you're a fan of film noir and hard-boiled detective characters like Dashiell Hammett's Sam Spade, and I loved the Sam Spade miniseries that starred. I guess Clive Owen as the aged detective in the south of France. And if you like Raymond Chandler's Los Angeles Private Dick Philip Marlowe, the books and the movies, I recommend the new dramatic miniseries Sugar on Apple TV. It stars Colin Farrell as L.A. private investigator John Sugar. Well, that's his name. He's a flawed but noble, multilingual, weapon-savvy, movie-loving finder of missing persons. In this particular case, the missing person is the wayward granddaughter of a legendary Hollywood filmmaker played by the legendary James Cromwell. The mystery is cool, the musical score is cool, and the interspersed clips from classic movies that accompany Sugar's inner voice narration are cool. This was just so up my alley. And so is one more quick TV recommendation. And it may not be for everyone because people do Blanchett animated stuff, but X-Men 97 on Disney Plus is in fact a continuation of a very popular X-Men cartoon series from the 90s that picks up where that one left off. And the character designs are pretty much the same, and the story continues from that original run in the 90s. But obviously, animation technology has improved a little bit. The stories are great. They really echo the comic books for the fans. And even if you're not a comic book lover, but you do enjoy the X-Men movies that are now being folded into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, X-Men 97 with all of your favorite mutant characters, including Wolverine and Cyclops and Jean Grey, with Professor X and Magneto, the whole trip, they're all back. And there are some very exciting moments and even a little bit of emotional frisson here and there, as lives, even mutant cartoon lives, are not always going to be happily ever after in their situations. So I like that a lot.
Can you give me a minute on Three Body Problem?
No, it would take longer than a minute, and that's why I like to kind of pick and choose when I go through these things.
Right. Are you watching basketball
Michael,
or hockey?
I'm so excited, by the way. I just wanted to say I love your two TV choices there, and I think I found what I'm going to binge this weekend. So thank you for that, Michael.
Oh, no, it's my pleasure. And Kim, we'll get to Three Body Problem, but I want to give it its due. And, but in any event, I am excited that the Giants are facing off against the Pirates at Oracle Park this weekend. That is one thing that is present and exciting to me. And I do hope that, I'd love to see them sweep this 3-game series. And it's going to be fascinating to see Giants farmhand, one-time heir to Buster Posey as the Giants catcher, a man who kind of got short shrift, I think, in some ways, Joey Bart, back as a Pittsburgh Pirate. And apparently, since he was acquired by the Pirates a few weeks ago, he's been on fire at the plate. So we'll see.
Oh.
We've got Patrick Bailey behind the plate, so I'm cool with that. And we've got one of the best pitchers in baseball.
Keep your
Logan.
eye out. Logan Webb. Keep your eye out for Pirates young phenom O'Neal Cruz. Hopefully, I know you're pulling for the Giants, but hopefully Cruz can put on a good show for you.
I'd like to see him on cruise control personally, but I may be a guy who splits his time between Los Angeles and San Francisco, but my loyalties lie with the Bay Area sports franchises. I bleed the orange and black, and I'm excited about this season, even if the Dodgers have again stacked their lineup with $1 billion in players. It's kind of it's an economic situation, I guess. But all good.
Pretty wild.
Did you see the footage of, I don't know who hit the home run, but it went out into McCovey Cove, and there's all these kayakers out there waiting for balls to come out. The ball didn't even go in the water. It just landed right in this lady's lap.
I believe it was Patrick Bailey. I think it was Patty Bailey. I'm trying to recollect, but it was remarkable. It's never happened in all the years that Pac Bell Park, aka SBC Park, aka AT&T Park, now Oracle Park, has existed. Right. It's kind of nuts, man. Yeah. Right in the kayak, right in her lap, and she grabs it and waves it aloft. Have a good moment. You just don't want to be punched right in the kayak. Be very, very careful about that.
You got
Michael
that right.
Snyder, the Culture Blaster, you're writing for a new publication. It is The Voice of San Francisco. Is that right?
It is indeed. And you can actually look at the latest articles and my own columns in The Voice of San Francisco online at thevoicesf.org. And we did a little something on a movie we discussed last week here on the Mark Thompson Show, a film that I really enjoyed called We Grown Now. That's the most recent piece. And we're going to do a little something, speaking of the X-Men, that refers to the upcoming Deadpool and Wolverine movie from Marvel and Disney this coming week. So be on the lookout. And our friend John Rothman does a podcast for Voice of San Francisco, and I'm in very, very good company, Kim. And speaking of in good company, Hal, great meeting you and great spending a little airtime with you and with the magnificent Kim McAllister.
Right on. Thank you for coming in, Michael Snyder. He comes and goes on a rainbow. Bye, Michael.
Oh, there it is.
There it is. Bye, Michael Snyder.
Bye.
Have a great weekend.